Okay, going straight in with an image this week. The Sulala animal rescue in the Gaza Strip. The animals are now sustaining themselves.
Oh, no, this is ages ago.
Oh, well, for a while. Have been sustaining themselves, eating the carcasses of their friends.
Since they were talking about famine in the north of Gaza.
Yeah.
And now I've just read a very interesting New York Times article where... the New Yorker talking to one of the Biden administration.
Animals sustaining themselves off carcasses.
But
is it famine?
Talking to Jacob Lew, who was the US ambassador to the country. I'm not really sure what that means. Oh, to Israel. And he was saying that when they announced famine in the north of Gaza last year, or maybe, it was a while ago, he was saying that was exaggerated. Oh yeah. Because we were working on getting aid in. Yeah, okay. I can quote other articles online, can't I?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, so the question was, but I just want to be clear, people were starving to death in 2024. I know mass starvation did not happen, but people were dying, correct? And then he says, I can tell you that we did not see evidence of mass starvation leading to death. We did see children, and some of them were children with diseases who are particularly susceptible, and it's tragic. Any civilian, any child dying of malnutrition is tragic. So I'm in no way saying there weren't problems. Until March 25, it wasn't great, but people were surviving, and it was not an accident. It took a constant engagement to keep that flow. I would never say there weren't problems. I think the reports of famine were premature and exaggerated. Even in my last month, there was a report that I found extremely troubling where it said there was a serious risk of famine in the north. Yeah. Literally, as we were working day and night to open the routes for food to get into the people who were still in that very northern part of the country. Food has not been getting
really into the Gaza Strip.
Right, so I just want to say, the tone of that sounds like he's saying, yeah, but I was working really hard, and now I have been watching images, obviously, from on Instagram for the last couple of years, and everything that I saw around the time that he's denying it consisted of dogs eating out of carcasses of donkeys that had died, and people were having to ground up chicken feed and feed it to their children. Children were eating grass. Seeing just dead animals everywhere and the land completely gouged out. Now, to me, that looks something like a famine. You don't really have to be a genius to work out that looks like, they hadn't declared famine at that point. They'd said there is a risk of famine. I mean, that looks like a risk of famine.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
But by this point,
if the animals are having to eat the carcasses of other dead animals and, in hollowed out carcasses, that looks a bit like a famine.
Yeah, but by this point, I just don't care or give any credence to any of these systems where apparently we have to wait for a bureaucratic organisation to say yes, there's a genocide, yes, there's a famine. It's like, no, we can see with our eyes what's happening.
We could prevent...
You can't do this in the age of the smartphone because everyone can see what's happening.
Put it this way, they talk about preventing genocide, and as we can see, we haven't ever managed to prevent the genocides that have happened, because you wouldn't have come to the conclusion that it's a genocide if you'd prevented it, because it wouldn't have happened. Yeah. So obviously the policy of supposedly I was under the impression when I was growing up that people wanted to work towards a world where there wasn't genocide and mass slaughter, but apparently I was wrong. But obviously we can see from the fact that there are genocides and then people talk about it later on in history and study it, we can see that the current policy for human society is really not working in some... you wouldn't know there was a genocide if you'd have prevented it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be Anyway.
Yeah, I'm at the point, I was sat last night, sort of trying to process the last couple of years, both on a personal level and on global level. And I think back to doing A-level history and finding out the full story of World War II, and our history teacher, who was a wonderful guy called Dave Gardner, who was a dyslexic guy, and literally the best public speaker I've ever heard. He would come into history classes and say, like sort of bedraggled. He was like this giant, bedraggled, beardy old guy, and he said, where did we leave off last week? And then he would just reel off for 3 hours and was a marvellous guy. But he was also what you would call a Marxist. He clocked me reading the Communist Manifesto, and he said, we're going to have a chat about
don't mention it, the signal will cut out again.
And he asked the class, like history teachers must often do, how was this permitted to happen? How did this happen? And I don't think that it's even like in this society. Obviously, we have like the raging Jambons who shout about hating people
boats
from other countries and boats all the time. And you had the raging Jambons in Nazi Germany too, who were screaming, shouting about and all that. And then in Nazi Germany, you had the small amount of dissidents, artists, etc., who were either exterminated or managed to get away. But I think more to blame than the people, than the crazed Jambons. More to blame is what is clearly and must have been the same in Nazi Germany, the majority of the population who don't really get involved.
The complacency, the apathy, the just staring.
And I'd like to address this directly again because this is obviously an ongoing thing that's on my mind, and just to keep it as an ongoing theme.
Vacant, apathetic.
I would like to direct this at my parents, who chastised me relentlessly for having empathy. And now we live in the age of my parents watch far too much of like the internet nonsense stuff, and Elon Musk and other crazy right-wing people are talking about the sin of empathy. Don't commit the sin of empathy, because if you commit the sin of empathy, it will stop you being mighty man, macho, mighty. Don't
that
show
lovely
empathy.
woman, you know, that lovely priest woman. I can't remember. If she's
who gave the speech?
Was she an Episcopalian?
But
anyway, yes.
Who gave the speech
gave that
to
lovely
Donald?
Speech just about
the one to
having,
Donald.
Yeah, and they looked so angry,
Yeah.
and she was just saying, you know, why don't you be nice to people?
Yeah.
Just try sharing a bit, like, you know, try and get on with people, and like, I don't understand how you can. Well, I mean, obviously these people are totally unreasonable. Obviously that's a bit of an understatement, but again, I'm not allowed to swear.
Yeah.
So, how can you look someone like that in the face and reject that?
Yeah.
That it's not just rejecting a person; it's rejecting something existentially as well, isn't it? You're deciding on behalf of all humanity that, as the president, I mean, there's not any more of an existential position to be in. The most powerful man on earth is deciding that you metaphorically spit in that nice lady's face who was just saying, hey, why don't you be nice to kids?
Yeah. Although, do you know...
How can they call themselves a Christian? Like, how can you do it? You're basing it on Jesus, who's famed for getting very angry about commodifying sort of like kind of poignant holy spaces and selling a bunch of tat, you know, which is, but it's essentially the equivalent of I don't know what's the equivalent now.
The whole of society.
The whole of society. I don't know, the equivalent now is taking something like, say, the Isle of Wight Festival, the
You mean
lineage,
Nokia rocks the Isle of Wight
the
Festival?
lineage of Miles Davis, Jimi Hendrix, Joni Mitchell, who everyone like travelling through Shorewell to get to the West Wight, to the extent that they brought in a lot of legislation after the Isle of Wight Festival to stop big gatherings because it was so there's such a massive thing. And then fast forward to now. And I've played the Isle of Wight Festival a lot, and the last time I went there was a British Airways stand, and they were selling Moet champagne at the festival. And it's all based on the whole kind of thing about Jimi Hendrix. Every year we say, oh yeah, Jimi Hendrix, and it's not in the same site. It's completely ideology driven, completely fueled by advertising, to the extent that every time I've been there, I thought I was going to have dissociative, autistic meltdown, and that's the same sort of thing. Just commodify anything kind of remotely sublime or holy, and then sell it in sort of.
Do you get the feeling that Hendrix would have rocked for Nokia? No. To me, that was the end of like the old music industry. I remember, I think I was living in France. I wasn't living on the Isle of Wight, I think, at the time, and I saw it on the internet. This news story: Nokia rocks the Isle of Wight Festival. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
I didn't know what it meant.
To the extent that you can't understand it because you don't know which word category
Nokia
it falls
rocks
into.
the Isle of Wight Festival. My mother always told me red would fade. And I didn't know what it meant, so I read the article. I still didn't understand it, and then it took me a while to realise that what it was. To realise that it meant that Nokia was like the reason for the season, and now everything, all of these events have like a brand before them, and it's just so pathologically uncool. Why does anyone play these festivals?
I can't do it anymore. I mean, the Isle of Wight Festival. There's some cool people working at it.
I'm sure there's cool people working at festivals, but they were probably working at festivals when festivals were still festivals.
Working with what they've got,
rather than large corporate events.
The whole thing just feels like a kind of fascist state in a fairground. I mean, I went there once, and are you allowed to talk about horrible things on the radio?
Of course you're allowed to talk.
I went there once, and one of the security guys stood on my feet and threatened me in a very, as you can expect with talking to women, way, and said, "You can't do anything about this," and then proceeded to grope me in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. And I also had I got groped through the crowd, like, many times. That thing that men do where they walk up and they grab your thing, or like picking you up and moving. Things like people that I vaguely knew seeing me and then taking the opportunity to shove their tongue down my throat when I'm looking the other way. What else?
Those kind of men are
I met two guys, security guards, when I was trying to get out, who were both neo-Nazis. It's a real barrel of laughs, that place. So, and then walking up there once, one of my friends, somebody tried to attack him because he was tall, basically. Just this sort of stuff, like, people screaming, sort of various terms for women that are based on rhymes with shut, that sort of thing. Just a totally misogynistic kind of. It felt like a little bit like being in Logan's Run, but it's with violent perverts.
Yeah, all of these security guys around, and they're like searching everyone and all that. It makes music festivals
feel like you're going.
They are little police states.
I just don't ever want to go there.
Little police states with commercial
music. I don't
music.
want people's hands all over me. And there's all this kind of thing of saying, oh well, yeah, but if you've got nothing to hide, then why you got a problem with it? Because I don't want like men groping my whatever you're allowed to say
Yeah.
on the radio. Wow, it makes it very difficult to have grown-up conversations, doesn't it?
I've told you about the amazing woman in, I think it was an airport in Denmark, who had the best solution to not being frisked. And it was one of the, literally, it was probably the best thing I've seen in an airport. She was stood like two people in between her and me. I was behind. And just before she got to the, she was wearing like, she had loads of bags and stuff, and she had like this big duffel coat on that went like pretty much like down past her knees. And then just before going through the thing, when they were like, come through please, she pulled her coat off, and she was wearing just like tiny little hot pants, a tiny little crop top, and just looked sensational. And the airport staff all kind of went like that, and she walked through, waltzed through. She might have had those hot pants lined with cocaine. It would not have mattered. They would not.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. The last time I went through an airport, every time I go through the scanner, something comes up, which is strange.
It's your alien implant.
But that's the thing, I just don't get it. It's every time, I don't have like metal anywhere in my clothing.
No.
Like when when I've had to go on planes. So I nearly said when I'm travelling, then I don't. Just no, I don't.
When I'm travelling.
When I've been forced to have to get in the metal tube that feels a bit like you're going through a fax machine or a slaughterhouse after being, pummeled with lots of branding and managing to get many different exotic variants of flu.
Yeah. And let me assure you,
I don't tend to wear trousers because then my ankles swell up and then blood starts running out of my face. I'm not really sure why anyone ever wants to go on a plane, but apart from to possibly see something interesting out the window.
The one-day research trip that we did to America was not fun. No, it was one day the first time we went.
It was 2 days.
Or maybe 2 days, 2 days, whatever. But still,
that's the worst thing I've ever done.
That was not fun. That was not great. That was not luxurious, joyous travel.
That kind of pretty much cancels out my entire life as a vegetarian, really, isn't it? In terms of climate emissions.
Yeah,
probably.
maybe.
But, maybe they should have not sort of done
Did you
Brexit.
not get enough at any other work? You've got to go to America to do the work.
From the EU.
No one in this country
as we've
wants
seen
to...
from all the trade deals they keep trying to chase with people on the other side of the world as opposed to your nearest neighbour.
Yeah, nobody in this country wants to pay us to do anything, and we can't work in Europe because of Brexit. So you got to take the work where it's. You got to take the work where it is, and so that is my call out to my little father in North Korea. Yeah.
I can't remember what we were saying.
The
plane thing, right?
The plane thing.
When we were talking about the plane thing.
Oh,
getting searched at the airport, and then we went off on to talking about like travelling and not being able to get any work because everybody hates us and Brexit. And then, what I was going to say was, whenever I go through the security, it always beeps. And then I was saying to the woman last time, I was like. And I looked at the thing, and she was like really confused, and she ran the thing up and down me, and then it went whoa at the top.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is it? And the little square came up over the thing on my arm that mysteriously appeared that's got 3 dots.
Yeah. You see, if you've been
the
abducted by aliens, they don't usually apparently let you remember, do they?
There was a little square over where the little triangular dot thing is, and then I said to her, is it because of my alien implant? And then she went, and gave me this really weird look. So I'm just going to go with yes, because it makes everything a lot more exciting. But every time I go into the shop, the security alarm comes off. It comes on every single time. Why?
Yeah,
why does this happen?
But despite the fact that everything is so horrible in the world right now, we've destroyed everything, and there is a Holocaust happening in Gaza that pretty much everyone in this country kind of quietly, shrugged their shoulders and said it's got nothing to do with me. Well, it does, because we're one big human family now, aren't we? And if we let this happen, no one's safe anymore.
The land and the water's connected.
Yeah.
So if the sea boils in one part of the land, then that's also going to boil in the water. Then that's also going to boil in the other part.
Have you seen the wonderful?
Because it moves.
Have you seen the wonderful new news about sharks? That sharks are apparently like being born like or like losing their teeth because of something in the water. So
they're going to die.
They're going to die. Yeah. Unless like something serious is done. But the thing is, something serious won't be done.
Something serious being done should be like, maybe don't sort of like put nets on the bottom of the ocean, dredge up the entire thing so that you can have a sandwich.
So you
have a nice sandwich, and then you can put its writhing corpse, like, because they come up and they've got the bends, haven't they? And do you know that fish can be trained to do tricks, and they come up and they welcome their owners and go
Yeah, I know that.
But they're not sentient, are they?
I've had goldfish before.
They're not sentient.
I had a lovely goldfish, and he lived on my kitchen windowsill, and I spent a lot of time washing up and so on, and keeping my kitchen as lovely as possible, which wasn't so easy. And the goldfish used to swim around in his little bowl, but it I'm not stupid. I can see when
someone is reacting to
you. And he would, when I was he'd swim around, but when I was washing up, he'd often stop and kind of just slip in the middle and look at me like that. And of course, with little fishies, you put your finger in the water, they come up and they nibble on your finger, and it's very, very nice. You can also do that new age thing with fish, can't you? What they like to do, where they put their feet in a bowl of water,
and they'll eat,
and then they have fish nibble at their toes, which sounds a little distressing. But I would like just here to interject with a wonderful neoliberal relaxation technique that surely will take off in Totnes. Totnesians, listen to this. This was invented by the brilliant Reiki master, Dr. Elvis Herod. If you've had a long day, if you've just had one of those go-getter days and you just need to get home, have some me time, maybe take a bath, but sometimes that hot bath, it just isn't enough. So, you know that you have so many orders from Amazon going back and forth, and somewhere in that pile there's just the perfect cardboard box. So after your bath, go get that perfect cardboard box, get your towel wrapped around your head so there's no water dripping down your back, and get in your comfiest chair, put that cardboard box in front of your chair, and just put your feet in that box and just let your feet sit in that box and just let it all just wash away. All that worry, all that tension, all that anxiety, with your bare feet in a nice, cool box. See, it works. Have you tried it? Don't diss it till you've tried it.
It's like that black books thing of
putting your books in the fridge.
And I thought if we managed to open
nice,
up a
cool
shop,
books.
If we managed to open up a shop, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is there any...
Nice.
I guess certain...
I use books to cool down. It's a legitimate
well,
thing.
to fan yourself.
Yeah, you've got a hardback, you put it on your face. You not do that?
I've never done that. That's good.
The tube gets hot a lot of the time.
You can't... It's difficult to fan yourself with a hardback.
Like, big Terry Pratchett with like a sort of plastic kind of dust jacket. If you put that on your body in the summer, it
nice and cool.
Provides a little bit of relief.
Yeah. So actually,
it's It's true.
In fact, could you pass me? Is there a hardback there? Let's have a feel of that William Burroughs. Oh yeah, one of those Sherlock Holmes hardbacks, or maybe there's a hardback there. Oh, here's a hardback. And oh dear, here's a hardback. I've got an Anthony Burke. Oh my goodness!
It works, doesn't
it's
it?
lovely and
also,
cool.
A thing that I used to do.
How is it this cool when the atmospheric temperature is so warm?
It's really cool.
That's really cool.
Nice, isn't it?
That's a lovely cool book.
And like if it's slightly embossed, then you get different levels of coolness.
Oh, I want to put that nice cool book on my back. Oh, that's a lovely cool book. I didn't know about this. And does it work with paperbacks? It's only hardback.
No, let's give it a go. But they really pointed towards something, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that cool? Is that
but
book
like,
cool as
you know,
well?
you can fan yourself with it, and
you can't fan yourself with a hardback.
I remember when people used to read, you'd see people fanning themselves with their books on the tube. You can't fan yourself with a phone.
A hardback is very ineffective.
You can't fan yourself with a phone.
No.
So people should go back to books. Again.
It's surprising that phones don't have a little thing that blows air out of them, just to keep cool, like a much less effective version of those really ineffective things on aeroplanes that blow like a millimetre wide thing of diseased air at you.
Oh, that's the plane thing, right?
So on Sound Art here on Sound Art Radio, we have a militant commitment to speaking the truth. And so part of that speaking the truth is that, basically anyone should be committed to speaking the truth, because lying is a terrible thing to do. We shouldn't lie.
It's not sustainable.
No.
Lies
build up and then things go terrible based on the lies. So given that multiple people have said to us recently, this statement, thanks for telling it like it is, and it's like, well, isn't that what everyone else is doing?
The thing I can observe in front of me looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in that spirit, I would like to introduce our next subject, which, and I'll introduce him properly as the historical figure that he is, outside of any political persuasion, as the figure that he will be seen as by history, and that is as the world's second most unpopular war criminal. He was the most popular, but he got knocked off the number one spot by Keir Starmer recently.
Right. But
who, as Zara Sultana keeps pointing out, Keir Starmer will be in The Hague before too long. But why is the world's second most unpopular war criminal?
When you say unpopular, do you mean that people don't like him?
Everyone hates him.
He's not. I mean, he's very good at it, being a war criminal.
No, but he's really unpopular. Everyone hates him. Like lots of war criminals, people they're popular with their fascisty people who love them and wave their flags and go there are many people living in Israel who really love that system that they're living in and go great leader, blah 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 blah. I forgot what I was talking about.
The world's second most.
Oh yeah, the world's second most unpopular war criminal, because no one likes Keir Starmer, no one likes Tony Blair, and people liked Tony Blair for like a year or something, and then
before he started destroying the
becoming
planet.
the world's second most unpopular war criminal.
I mean, I liked him before he destroyed the planet, sort of, for a little bit.
And this truth thing, right, is that people say or might say, well, you can't call Tony Blair a war criminal because it was never declared, blah blah blah. Again, this thing that it was never said in a court, etc., etc. And it certainly did. And I have no respect for any of this anymore, because we know that Tony Blair is a war criminal because there are 6 million dead people in Iraq and Afghanistan.
What's the actual figure?
It's about 6 million, or between 3 and 6 million, they say.
How many? I can't remember.
And so, this guy is a war criminal, and now, I don't know if listeners are aware of this, the world's second most unpopular war criminal, Tony Blair, is currently in talks about the future of the Gaza Strip as deluxe Western prime marina lifestyle place, which seems to be the idea. I don't know where they're going to put the rubble, but they don't seem to have thought that one through.
Well, the problem is these people are all sociopaths and psychopaths, aren't they?
And psychopaths can only think a few minutes in the future.
And they are.
If you're
destroying the planet that you depend upon for life by gouging it out and killing vast amounts of its inhabitants through either direct or indirect means, then you are a psychopath.
Yeah, and
because you've destroyed an astral body in space.
If we can now definitively define and diagnose psychopathy, then there needs to be regulations put in place to ensure. This is what I was saying. We say that autism is a type, a neurological type, and so is psychopathy. And autistic people are ostracised, but psychopaths
are lauded and celebrated.
Yeah, and they end up in positions of power, and then people say, oh yes, but you can't say definitively that Keir Starmer or Tony Blair are psychopaths.
Yes, but there are.
But actually, just because a doctor hasn't diagnosed them as psychopaths, you can see by their actions that they have been responsible for many, 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 many deaths, and they don't care.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds like a psychopath for me. To me,
a non-psychopath person
wouldn't kill millions of people.
No, but put it in this context. Non-psychopath people, I'm fairly sure, if any non-psychopath person took a human life, even in defense of someone they loved, or to save their own life, or whatever. If a non-psychopath takes a human life, they're really going to have difficulty sleeping for the rest of their life. The fact that Keir Starmer can go to bed at all at the moment, does he have slippers? Does he put his slippers on when he gets home? He sits in his comfy chair by his I reckon he's got like that wallpaper that looks like it's got books on it, and he pulls one of the books out, and there's only one that's a real book, and inside that is his little piccolo, and he gets that out and he sits on his own looking wistfully at the images of starving children and playing
I reckon he
Debussy.
Crouches. No, I reckon he crouches down with his shirt slightly untied and then a tie around his head like a bandana in the shadows,
like a wild man of the woods,
looking at all of his things that he's responsible and playing his flute.
Yeah,
pretending he's in sort of combat and he's whistling it himself.
Yeah,
in the jungle.
He claims Keir Starmer claims, if you ask him, to have whittled his flute himself from jungle wood, even though it's made of metal. It's true. And his flute, he has all sorts of uses for it. He uses it to express, and he uses it to look inside himself at that empty.
How do you do his voice?
Void. Starmers, he's sort of.
Do the Marlon Brando at the end of Apocalypse Now bit in the style of Keir Starmer. Do you reckon he does the speech?
I think he probably does.
The horror. And how do you do his voice?
That was pretty good. I would just go with that. Yeah. That was much better than mine. I still haven't really got Keir Starmer down.
How would Tony
It's difficult because there's such an emptiness
speech
of personality.
But Tony Blair played the electric guitar, didn't he? He really
Blair
wanted to be a rock star, didn't he? And he was posing with Oasis and stuff.
Do you think
what was he?
Keir Starmer and Tony Blair have ever jammed? Oh my God.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine a worse sounding piece of music
I think
than that?
maybe they probably have.
They probably have.
We were talking about how they should.
I think they both really like Toto.
Yeah, I reckon they do.
Yeah, I think they do. Keir Starmer's really into Toto.
Oh, I remember remember Theresa May did Desert Island Discs, and she put in loads of like sort of like plain song, and then like the Jersey Boys and Dancing Queen and stuff.
What is the Jersey Boys?
Isn't it a musical?
It's a musical,
or something?
right?
It was like, oh wow, it was turgid.
Yeah.
It was all like patriotic. It wouldn't be Prince, or she's not interesting enough for that. It was all like patriotic songs.
I love this kind of idea of a playlist of like English patriotic music and then a bit of house.
I'm sorry, but if you're in a position of power, I think you should really be a little bit more savvy on what the people in your country that you're supposedly running are up to. You know, like to have that little in terms of taste. It doesn't imply you're gonna have any good ideas.
But maybe it should be another thing for politicians, is that you're only allowed to be a politician if you can prove that you kind of have good taste, that you have some cultural literacy, that you understand a bit about history.
The arts funding disaster over the past few years has been caused almost exclusively by Nadine Dorries.
It has.
So, like,
brilliant writer, Nadine Dorries.
I don't think she's the person you should be talking to about sort of like arts funding, really.
Boris tempestuously stormed into the room like a violent man.
She should do a one-woman show.
Yeah, she should. She'd win Edinburgh. She would. She'd win everything. She'd be like the world's most famous comedian. If Nadine Dorries went on stage and started doing autobiographical stand-up,
people would go for sure.
I would go.
I'd go. I'm kind of obsessed with that.
I mean, it would be hilarious.
She's fascinating.
She's fascinating, but she did also write this book, didn't she? It might be her most recent book. I don't know. I think she like Barbara Cartland.
Yeah, I'm really curious about it. I don't want to give her any money.
But there's 2 Nadine Dorries books in the charity shops here in Shipton Abbott. Yeah. But I still haven't picked them up. There's a paperback and a nice big cool hardback there.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's a big hardback.
Is it fictional? The hardback?
Oh yeah.
Are they all about politics?
No.
Stories?
Most of Nadine's novels, as far as I can gather, are love stories a la Barbara Cartland. Right. They're romantic, rural love stories in the Cotswolds, I think. But then she wrote this book while she was like destroying all the arts in this country. She wrote this book about like the corridors of power, but it's like she's changed all the names and purports it to be like she's hiding the names, but it's really obvious who everyone is and so on. And it's all about the secret cult that's running the Conservative Party, and also about her utter adoration of that man among men, Boris Johnson, who she is like in love with on from afar, gazing from afar, and she just wants to be swept up in that tussle and liberated from the shackles of everyday life by that mop of gold and bigotry, who she utterly adores. And so she wrote this book about it that was like a tell-all book about the corridors of power, but with the names changed. And if I didn't have so many books still that are brilliant, probably very, very interesting books that I still have to get through, that Nadine Dorries book will be right at the top of my list. And I do want, I probably do have to, I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy them originally, but probably, just because of her contribution to destroying culture in this country, I would like to have
I want to kind of see what it's all about.
A thorough collection of Nadine's work.
If she's going to destroy culture in this country, I want to know like a bit more about her.
Exactly. If she's going to destroy culture in this country whilst also publishing books.
Trash novels.
And so my thought about Nadine Dorries is maybe she had like this fiendish plan because she thought that like Boris Johnson was going to be the king forever.
Can we get done for libel?
No. This is just speculation.
My feelings on Nadine Dorries are really quite
also
complicated,
satire.
actually.
Yeah, I can't.
Like,
well, let me
I can't
just.
really explain it. Like, obviously, like.
I'm gonna out you here, Lottie.
The Tories, blah.
I'm gonna
sort of
out you.
thing, but I'm kind of fascinated by them.
Lottie Depresstival Bowater is hot
No!
for Tory women.
No! Oh, you can't say that sort of thing. I'm really not. It's more. I'm fascinated by their sculptural hair.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
I think you're hot for.
And like Melania. What is that all about? She's it's sort of really...
My mother thought we were hot for Melania, didn't
I'm
she?
really not.
I ain't hot for Melania.
At all.
But she is fascinating.
It's just...
And hey, as a trustee...
I can't believe I'm on the same planet as these people.
As a trustee of Tet Opera, which is happening soon in London, I'll do a bit of PR for the festival here. Because Tet Opera Festival... Tet is a brilliant opera company that has run this festival for new work every single year, which they do on minimal budget, and they're super cool people, and they have a Melania opera.
Oh really? Yeah. See, that's the kind of perspective I've got about it. It's like she's a deeply weird individual.
There's that giant statue of her in Bulgaria.
It's really strange.
Yeah, I kind of love Melania.
Is she like?
If she was just in charge, I kind of think, yeah, well, that's great. Because even if they're a crazy psycho, if they've got that level of sass, none of the psychos we've got in power have any sass.
Oh, it's just...
What level of sass does Keir Starmer have? 0. What level of sass does Donald Trump have? 0. None of them have any sass apart from Little
I've
Father.
also quite enjoyed how absent she is from his public political life.
She is
quite obviously absent, which
Well, she is really absent, but then occasionally she'll do a highly produced glossy video about how much she hates brown people. So she's wild.
It's amazing that people can really take sort of like the kind of sort of racism and really sort of just run with it and turn it into a branded company, isn't it? It's really quite just sort of, I don't know.
But
it's very confusing.
But
I understand.
I do think that there is a part of you that would just love to be just held up for a moment by Penny Morton.
No. You really shouldn't have opened this whole...
Yeah, this is a wormhole. But I'll be honest.
Well, put it this way: if I was a drag performer and I was male, I would probably
be doing Penny Morton.
I would probably have sort of like thought about it. It would be kind of interesting to kind of examine that sort of. Like, because these people inflict themselves on us all the time. You should be able to do something back. If like Nadine Dorries is going to ruin my life, I want to sort of kind of analyse it a bit from a kind of critical theory perspective. There was that comedian in London that I vaguely crossed paths with, Suze Kempner, who did a years-long Nadine Dorries impersonation. I seem to. I mean, I could be completely paraphrasing this and making it up, but I seem to remember that she talked about how it was quite a strange relationship, and that thing of if you're playing a character for ages, you sort of. She must have. I wonder if she sort of started to become her and stuff. Yeah. It was very. It was quite thrilling to watch alongside at the same time, a
Nadine Dorries
weird kind of multiverse thing. I can't explain it. Weird sort of anyway.
Yeah. These.
And also that other thing that we had when we were stood outside in the middle of nowhere in rural Isle of Wight, and then Theresa May and her husband drove past with a police escort behind, and it made me... Damn, did that make me really quite sort of paranoid about...
It was the tiniest, oldest, little decrepit police escort on a moped. It was a wonderful image.
But I only got to look
the
at them
wind blowing through her hair. I didn't see Theresa May. I didn't get a good enough look at them. Because my eyes were drawn immediately to the 250-year-old security guard behind them.
Yeah, because there was that thing that I think she got into trouble at the time, maybe because she was meeting what's his name, the Island Tory MP, and they were having over the lockdown, I think it was. So they got into trouble about something or other. I remember it being vaguely in the news, and it was around the same time that she was on the Isle of Wight. So it must have been her. Who else has a police escort behind?
Oh, well, it was. I mean, it clearly
but
was.
Anyway,
she was
it
off
made me
down...
a bit like, oh my god, it's the Prime Minister. The ex-Prime Minister. Sort of in rural, in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere, you can't
Makes
avoid
you a little
them.
bit...
Yeah. And
Boris Johnson, I've made prolonged eye contact with in the street as well, which was really creepy.
Yeah.
When he used to live down by the canal, and there's a weird in Islington, and there's a weird little sort of crossing bit, and so he wasn't the Prime Minister, or I can't remember whether it was after he'd been the mayor or whatever, but. I got stopped by traffic on one side, and he was coming out of his house, and I made prolonged eye contact with him for about 20 seconds, and it made me feel really quite disturbed.
Yeah.
And then there was the other Boris Johnson encounter with...
when Elvis Herod bumped into him on the way to come and play Boris Johnson for us. But just to draw the conversation back to the woman among women, Penny Mordaunt. The thing about Penny Mordaunt and your particular fascination with Penny Mordaunt is that really what you would want someone like Penny Mordaunt in your life for, imagine how good she is at discipline, at laying down discipline.
Where is this
so
going?
like this, right? Yeah.
You've got to think about the funky youth response here. They're all going to hear this and think that I'm not a good comrade.
No,
we should edit that one out.
No, that's fine. No, let's talk about the funky youth.
No, I mean the word
communism. Communism.
But actually, no, just I'm not actually communist. It's very highly regulated capitalism with ethics behind it that doesn't destroy the planet and solves lots and lots of green, sort of sustainable technology issues, and possibly may eventually have something to do with robot overlords and extraterrestrial spacefaring people.
So speculative other dimension,
sci-fi,
right? Speculative other dimension.
Utopian space-time.
You've got
politics.
Speculative other dimension. You've got Penny Mordaunt in your life. You're maybe cohabiting with Penny Mordaunt,
please.
a house share or whatever, and you're struggling.
I feel a bit sick.
You're struggling to get your work done. Right, and you're struggling to get motivated and so on.
She'd have a problem with everything.
Penny Mordaunt comes in,
like Foucault,
and she goes.
Hate all that.
Penny Mordaunt comes in, and she says, "Sit down and write. Sit down and write.
I mean,
sit down and write." You would be
that's a very
1,500 words in 10 minutes.
That is a very good point.
Yeah, sit down and write.
Except with her, it would be sit down
and right wing.
Yeah.
Sit down and right wing. Yes, Penny Mordaunt, a source of fascination for everyone. But it's complicated because, for example, when I was a child, I was in love with those Nazi girls in the Indiana Jones movies. You know, the blonde, evil Nazi girls who are always double-crossing everyone and have no ethics or morals, but they've got that lovely sort of blonde hair and sort of Hitchcock blonde look with a glint of evil in their eye. I've always liked girls with a glint of evil in their eye. Also, there is some appeal to the idea of thoroughly corrupting a young, a sort of like the leading male in The Sound of Music or something, take the leading male of The Sound of Music out on the tiles in his little shorts and make him see aliens and things like that, and it's all very complicated. It's all It's all very complicated. But nowadays, fascists, Nazis, none of them are wearing little shorts.
They are. They all wear little shorts. Andrew Tate.
Oh no, the Andrew Tate shorts. No, I don't mean.
Yeah.
I don't mean hot pants. If I would have said hot pants, I mean hot pants. I mean little shorts. You know.
Well, I think they do in
just
other countries.
above the knees. But they don't. But they don't do it like collectively. They don't all like put on the same little shorts and the same little top and all that kind of thing.
Oh no, they do. It's like button-down shirts now. The Proud Boys. Is it the Proud Boys thing? There's this kind of like American sort of office worker, sort of incel-y.
Oh, that thing. That look.
Thing.
Yeah, I love the idea of rocking that look for a while. It's like sort of chinos and a sky blue shirt.
It looked like you'd been to Cows Week.
Yeah. When I followed Alan Titchmarsh around, that's what he was wearing.
Yeah.
At Cows Week.
Yeah, so kind of like Alan Titchmarsh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the funky youth want.
Yeah, they all want a little...
funky young boys.
Hey, funky young incel boys, do you realise that what you are aspiring to look like is Alan Titchmarsh? You are not going to be the Sheriff of the Isle of Wight if you dress like that.
No, I think
that
if
was
you
a
dress
one-off.
like that, you are going to be the Sheriff of the Isle of Wight.
Oh yeah, maybe, yeah.
I mean, what is the Sheriff of the Isle of Wight?
Yeah, he wears a kilt and has his
What
picture
does he
taken.
do? Does he arrest
He wears a
everyone?
kilt and has his picture taken.
Or is it like Black and Shine? Because they've got that.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Black and Shine's a theme park with giant plastic dinosaurs that's falling into the sea.
Yeah, it's amazing
in the
theme
West
park.
White,
And what
quite near the site of a prior witch burning in I can't remember when.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, they were in Atherfield. I grew up in Atherfield. If I'd have been there a few years earlier, it definitely would have been me.
Hey, and isn't it literally true that on one of Michael Palin's television programs...
Oh yeah!
He sees evidence of contemporary witchcraft practices on the Isle of Wight, and it's something you made as a child, was it?
Oh yeah, Michael Palin called me a Satanist. Which is,
brilliant.
It was great. He sort of like kind of he solidified it.
You should write to Michael Palin.
Before,
and tell him.
Actually, you can't write to anyone now.
No, everyone exists behind a magic wall.
Nobody ever communicates.
The famous. There's two kinds of people, isn't there? There's the famous and the not famous.
And I'm never ever posting on Twitter or anything like that ever again because it's. I mean, really, no.
I hope Michael Palin doesn't spend his time on Twitter.
I mean, if Michael Palin is listening, you called me a Satanist.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me come to these sort of early conclusions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to go up to this sort of is it called a tor? Like a big standing stone thing with a thing next to it,
Yes,
like old ceremonial rock.
In Atherfield on the Isle of Wight.
No, in Moctiston, isn't it? You
Oh,
know
I've never been there, but I've heard about it.
The Longstone, and I think there was a summer or something where everyone was going up there a lot and having a lot of kind of hippie type party things, and we went up there a lot for one summer and we're making little tiny campfires and there's a little fire pit sort of thing. Yeah. And he was making a program and found the remains of it. It was like a funny program, I think, and he found the remains of one of the fires and said it's evidence of. Is it evidence of Satanists?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. Well, yeah, it is.
Well, you could, whenever you need a PR blurb or whatever, you could put Depresstival, evidence of Satanists.
Yeah.
Michael Palin.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Which is really good.
Yeah, that's a great
Cheers,
review.
Michael Palin.
That's a great review. That's an even better review than Fallen Idol in the Wire magazine.
One of the village people once said to me, because he was judging a competition I was in.
Which village person?
Randy.
But I don't know them by name.
He was the later cowboy.
Oh, later cowboy.
He wasn't. I don't think he was the original. Do they have a cowboy? I haven't really kept up on.
Yeah, for sure.
They
Haven't they got a cowboy and an engine?
And a builder.
And a builder.
And then is there like?
And did they announce recently that they're not a gay band?
I can't remember.
They did. They played for the Trump inauguration and said this has never been about being
isn't
gay.
There some weird rule about YMCA? I don't know. It's still meaningless, isn't it? But anyway,
It's all very strange.
He was judging this songwriting competition I was in and said, "You need to think about the audience more." And he had his shirt off and was very oily.
He had his shirt off for the judging.
They were all having like a party. It was an internet one. And they were all like dressed up and like getting drunk and stuff like that and dancing and then.
But he had it,
and then they were kind of like, "Oh, you're really weird.
Yeah.
Like the songs are good. Your voice is nice.
He was
you're
saying
really weird."
He was calling you weird while he had his shirt off.
Well, he was calling me weird, but I mean, he was in the Village.
In the Village People.
It's not exactly like sort of button down office sort of lifestyle, is it?
No.
It's not exactly 9 to 5.
No, being a village person.
Weird. He's weird as well. We're all weird. It's not the job of artists. But then he was like, "Hey, do you know Simon Cowell?"
Yeah.
Like, no.
No. Nor do I wish to. I remember when all that started. I'm going to say this now, and everyone was so angry at me when all that talent show nonsense started. I said, "This is going to destroy culture," and I legitimately felt very, very angry about it because it was just obvious where it would go. And also angry about it because, to me, art is the antithesis of competition. If artists compete, nothing gets done. It's stupid. You don't compete. You know, the process of being an artist in a scene is a process of conversation and interaction. Not that I've ever been entitled to enter any scene, but it should be a process of conversation and interaction, not like, "Don't you look at my ideas alike?" You know, it's ridiculous. It's pathetic.
Although, if people are actually stealing ideas from you in a kind of like malicious way and then marketing it as their own and then selling it and making money off of it whilst you kind of like shiver in a
But the majority of time,
poverty.
The majority of times I've seen this conversation. I've known many people with whom I've had this conversation about such and such stole my idea, and it turns out the idea was something so simple and obvious that millions of people have thought.
Yeah.
And in art, it isn't about the idea; it's about the execution. Ideas are 10 a penny. We can all have ideas, but it's doing it.
But things like, I mean, that thing of like, you know, you'll get a musician who's like really kind of really good and has a really you know, and is brilliant, and then a band will, and they're poor, and then a band is like really influenced by them, and then they become famous, and then they never mention the person that they've been continuously influenced by. I mean, you know, lots of people personally who are quite famous who've done exactly that, which you can't really talk about because they'll get upset. But there are plenty of people who paint themselves in the pop industry and indie industry as very nice people who've actually kind of like taken the ideas of some kind of like outsider, virtuosic, autistic, poor person and then never given them a shout out.
The whole idea that indie became a sound rather than a descriptor is interesting. Indie meaning independent. And none of the labels, I mean, there is virtually no such thing as an independent label anymore. The independent label.
We're an independent label.
Yeah, we are an independent label. We've got a lovely cassette release out, Sammy Madoon's Oud Music from Gaza. First edition sold out. Second edition pretty much sold out. We're going to go to the post office a bit later today and send off a load of them. The first physical release of music from the Gaza Strip, as far as we know. Woo, how about that? Now, here's something to amuse your friends. When you've got a drink, sit chatting and holding that drink. And then, take a sip. But just hold it under your tongue and let the other person talk for a while. And then at just the right moment, take your drink, make as if you're pouring it in your ear, and squirt what was in your mouth out of your mouth across the table. But not onto anyone's clothes. Everyone will be surprised and amused. Weren't you surprised and amused when I did that earlier? Yeah. I've been doing a lot of magic tricks. Look, listen, some radio magic. I'm going to do some radio magic tricks. Pah!
Wow, that's amazing.
What about that?
I can do one. Pick a card, any card.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that was 2. Hang on.
Right, look at the card.
Yeah.
Put it back in the pack. Just shuffle it a bit.
Yeah.
Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Is this your card?
Yes!
Yeah! Amazing!
See? I mean, you can do magic on radio. It's easy. Do you know about Educating Archie?
No.
Educating Archie was a radio show in the 1950s. Was a very successful show. Featured and launched the careers of people like Tony Hancock and Eric Sykes. Eric Sykes was a writer on it, blah, 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 blah. But Archie was a dummy. And it was a radio show where the main characters were a ventriloquist and his dummy. And so the idea of ventriloquism is the physical act of watching it, but you're just listening to a guy doing a voice. And then I thought, well, it must have been at least more interesting for the audience who watched it, during the recordings. And then I saw some footage of a recording, and because this man is a radio ventriloquist, he just moves his mouth when the dummy talks. So we are all radio ventriloquists. All you got to do is hold a dummy and speak. Educating Archie, check it out. One of the strangest bits of radio. And going back to that, I also want to point out, vis-a-vis a tete-a-tete opera, we talked about the Melania opera, which is playing at
I'd love to see that.
tete-a-tete. But we also must point out that at this year's tete-a-tetes, the Opera Festival is the continued massive Meadowverse project of Sound Art Radio's visionary founder, Lucinda Guy, who has been making amazing work for the last few years about the 17th century local poet Robert Herrick, who was a bit like, he was a vicar, but he also liked to run around with naked guns. So he was kind of like me. And Lucinda has been writing all this amazing music, which she says is more like channeling, and the melodies come out, and the melodies are inherent kind of in the music, begging to.
And that was really interesting that when they go together, very interesting stuff happens, like in the rounds and stuff like that. Really interesting. And
there's something about it that it feels it's deeply rooted in the English folk tradition, but in a completely non-pretentious way, which is quite rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
not like most things that when I read about getting onto the folk thing, the current sort of post-Brexit English
folk revival post-Brexit.
Whereas what I would say Lucinda is making folk music.
Real folk music.
Not
but it's also
whatever you want to call it now, but it's deeply embedded in the time now and in the past and in the actual English pastoral tradition.
Yeah, and it seems to come from that English, or is a continuation of the English folk tradition, but it also comes from the very bottom of a boiling cauldron, It's good, dark, heavy, beautiful witchcraft.
And also, ultimately, I just want when I'm saying English folk tradition, I don't mean England. I mean as in connected to the scrap of land that we're on.
Yeah.
Not about anything human made, as in the kind of particular, the particular sort of tone of what the countryside looks like here, and you know, the dark and spooky woods,
Yeah.
in the way that like German kind of you know, like Sleeping Beauty had, the Disney one had all that kind of German expressionist sort of like dark woods thing, and all of the it's never about the nationality, it's always about the land, as in the shape of the land. And
Pender's Fen is about the land, the
being gouged up.
Yeah, but about the, like, whether you like believe in like the idea of the tangibility of a soul, you can't deny. I mean, I find day-to-day reality, the more I think about it, more difficult. All of the things that I've been conditioned to think of as normal, but the cutting down of a mighty tree is a total tragedy.
Absolutely.
And it's happening constantly. And we're using trees in the same way that we use pigs.
Yeah.
And I just don't like any of it.
I
don't want the trees to be under my control. I want to be protected by them, you know?
Yeah. Living in the tree as opposed to like living sort of superior to the tree.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
the sycamore gap thing,
They felled the sycamore gap because they thought it was funny.
There was a big tree here, wasn't it? A big, was it an ash? It was before.
Right, I don't know about
actually,
this.
we shouldn't have said the name of whatever.
Shipton Abbott.
Shipton Abbott, like people felling these huge trees that have outlived all of our social structures.
Yeah. But people love it, and I think that people. I just think that I'm living in a completely different world, and I didn't realise to what extent. But I think people enjoy the domination of nature, and people enjoy any kind of domination. And I think that goes down even to the idea of well, I'm free to try this Amazon package, and then I'm free to return it, regardless of the fact that that's just pointlessly using resources. You know, but no, let's do that every single day.
In every facet of our life.
Yeah, in every facet of our life.
And all of our sort of like interactions with each other as well.
Yeah, I didn't realise.
Physically reflective.
I didn't realise how much everyone was into consumerism. I thought it was kind of a joke and no one was paying attention to advertising. But no, it's all this desirability machine
I remember
thing
when people were after everything in Gaza started. And people are posting about other like catastrophes, where people are getting man-made catastrophes, and people talking about the whole sort of mining the materials for phones out of like, you know, forced Congolese child slavery and stuff like that. You know, stuff that, like, I saw stuff about that in the Power Squatsy film, which was made when?
1970.
Yeah, that big bit where all the kids and the adults are going down into the mine. I don't know where it is, but it's just constant
It's the
flow
beginning of that movie, isn't
constant flow of this. Just it's astonishing that like we haven't done anything about this.
It's kind of weird, isn't it, that there is all the great works of cinema and so, but actually the most important films are Koyaanisqatsi and Parakatsi.
And I haven't seen the other thing, but they made a recent
Nagoy-Katsi.
They made a more recent,
which is all we have it in here. I think it's all about that maybe it's a completely stupid idea to give yourself over to computers. Computers are terrible. Like, they're kind of okay tools for cutting stuff together and so on.
But they're pretty unusable now.
Everyone's obsessed with AI. Everyone's talking about AI, even though AI doesn't exist. What you're working with is machine learning softwares. And everybody is going on about this, and like people are saying, oh yeah, the future, everybody's going to be doing AI, working with AI,
Doing
training
what
AI.
with AI?
Doing what?
And to
Isn't
do
the
what?
idea that it does it itself?
What? But what's it for? But yeah, but the whole thing that I noticed after people were posting online about Gaza and then talking about Congo and mining and stuff, and the main Western position that I saw from people who were supposedly sympathetic against sort of, genocide and stuff, as in like they don't want to see people die, but they're still talking about, so how can we make our phones more, what am I going to do about a phone? What am I going to do to make it more...
I've got to make my phone more ethical.
Yeah.
Ditch the phone.
Ditch the phone.
It's a Nazi Bakelite radio in your pocket.
Like, okay, maybe I bought a phone ages ago, but ever since then it's been like second-hand ones or someone's given one to me. I don't know. It's like
I've had them inflicted on me quite a few times. The amount of money that
people are spending on it is huge, isn't it?
I've never spent a penny
on them. Are they thousands of pounds?
People spend thousands of pounds on them, yeah.
Why?
So that for their amazing 4K ultra vision high def lens.
But then when you're watching any film, it's not ever streaming in 4K anyway because the compression rate varies depending on the bandwidth.
Yes. And also,
so you don't even see it.
But
you're
also,
watching it on a phone.
But if you're watching it on a phone, why do you need it in high resolution? In
why
fact,
do you want...
on a phone, you might as well watch it in really low resolution because you can watch films on a phone on a screen that big at like 320 resolution.
Yeah.
And it will display just fine. But people are watching films at 4K on their phones, which is using up vast amounts of bandwidth.
Resources.
And yeah, exactly. Bandwidth
vast
equals
resources. Electricity
fire.
Equals fire, equals pollution, equals death. And just the whole what was I going to say of I was thinking about the fact that for a little while I was managing to slightly carve out a very modest income, but that kept me going because everything was a bit cheaper then, significantly cheaper, and you could still buy food, like vegetables for sort of like £1 a bag for like loads of tomatoes sort of thing in London, and I was eking out a bit of an income from filming stand-up and stuff like that, and then immediately when the 4K thing started happening, I started seeing all these adverts for people who were advertising filming stand-up sessions like in 4K. Like, why? Why do you need to see the person's pause?
Because I want...
For somebody talking through a microphone on stage.
I won't watch a video of a stand-up comedian unless I can literally see the sweat eking out.
Is that why?
Yeah, that's
People
why.
want to see them sort of really trying.
Yeah, I want to see you sweat.
Sweating.
Yeah, I want to see comedians sweating. That's what they should be doing. Although they do, I mean, I've known a lot of comedians in my time. From being 18, I was around comedians for a few years at that point, and more lately, I've been around comedians.
Because I've been around comedians.
A lot of them are quite sweaty.
Although I don't ever really get close enough to be able to tell.
Well, there's something about...
I was more sort of behind the bar and admin and filming and stuff.
Yeah. But, going on stage, of course, one gets sweaty. I mean, when was I on stage recently?
Gala.
I was quite sweaty after that. I was quite covered in sweat.
I actually am not.
I've noticed that. You come out.
Kind of quite relaxing.
You come out after a 1 hour screaming performance, dry as a bone.
It's really relaxing.
Whereas I go on stage for about a total of 10 minutes, and
but you're more.
I am caked with sweat.
You're more like hype man.
Yeah, I'm very hype, but I'm sweating a lot.
You do a lot. You
Yeah.
also sort of run back and forth and do the technical aspects as well.
Yes.
So it's like you were jumping a lot and then didn't you gouge a massive hole out?
Well, that was the first show in Stroud when the technician announced that he wasn't going to stay for the show, so I had to run.
Oh, and he also said that thing where we turned up and then he was like, so who's in charge then? Like, in a quite accusatory way, and I was like, I made a joke and said, oh, it's more of a sort of like postmodern kind of anarchist, Marxist collective roving sort of theatre group. And he said, oh, you're a sham then. And it's like, Jesus Christ, mate. Like, I'm just trying to have a laugh.
Yeah.
Like,
But
it's
yeah,
just a bit of fun.
At
and
that
then,
show, I was running the tech at the back and also running the magic lantern on the stage. And yeah, I gouged a huge chunk out of my leg through jumping on and off the stage. And then a few days later, we played on the Isle of Wight, where I burned my arm through to the bone, which was nice.
And didn't tell me, where did you burn it? What was it?
Right there. It was the bar on the inside of an oven.
Oh my god.
But it's better now. It's better, but it didn't look very nice. It looks horrible. Horrible. So that's that. Burns, sweat, lots and lots and lots and lots of sweat. Enough to keep Prince Andrew lovely and moist
Sweat.
for some time.
Because he needs other people's.
That is what he does.
He can't make his own,
He
so
doesn't make his own.
Get other people's and like roll around in it
He
before
does.
he goes out.
He does. He has a gallery of boys in the next room that he keeps with his teddy bears, and they're used just for siphoning off sweat. He has these boys on exercise bikes, and they just exercise and exercise like this, and they have these containers underneath that just catch that sweat, and then Prince Andrew and his teddy bears just roll around in the sweat. So, in this really bland dystopia,
Beige dystopia.
in which we find ourselves.
Beige end times.
But you know what I was thinking about how beige the apocalypse is?
And just to clarify, we can come back, I think, if we really, buckle up.
Yeah.
And really pull your whatever up, pants.
Yeah. But my thought about how beige the apocalypse is, and it's where the science fiction authors got it wrong. The reason the apocalypse is so beige is exactly just the same way that day-to-day life for those who went along with it in Nazi Germany would have just been really beige.
Really beige.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the apocalypse would inevitably be beige and would be kind of approved and continued with by the majority of people, and would be this great evil in our world, which they call bureaucracy. And bureaucracy is the great evil which has made it so that we have to wait and see what such and such says about
before we can save children who are dying.
About whether the Holocaust that's happening is a Holocaust or not.
There's a
the one you can all see.
There's a fire coming towards us, but quick, we have to go and have a meeting before we do anything about it, or don't, as the case generally tends to be.
The amount, as like a freelance artist, and I've worked in many, just totally different contexts, the amount of meetings that I've sat in.
Oh, yeah. 6-hour meetings.
Yeah, with the
6
Maggio
hours.
Musicale in Firenze. 6 hour
That was a long meeting.
But we bonded with the technician, didn't we?
And then there was a poem, wasn't there?
Yes, Elvis Harrod's meeting poem.
Oh.
Meeting. Let's all have a meeting to talk about how we met. You take notes, and I'll take photos. Meeting, met. That's the second time we've mentioned Elvis Harrod today. What was the other reason we were talking about Harrod?
Oh no, you started talking about it, but then we never finished the story.
What was the story?
It was the other Boris Johnson interaction story.
Oh yeah, I think I vaguely said it. He was coming to play Boris Johnson in London and for us, and came out of the tube station to see Boris Johnson stuck in a traffic jam. So then followed him down the street, pointing through his window while Boris was driving, pretending he couldn't hear, saying, "I see you, Johnson!" And we managed to track down Boris Johnson's car online, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, because we got some of the license plate, but I can't remember it now.
No.
But, why would you want to look it up
I don't
anyway?
want to know
you want to stay as far away from it as
I don't want to know
possible.
about anyone's little car. I was talking with my a friend here in Shipton yesterday about cars. I don't think I told you about this. I was talking with my friend Dee about cars, and it was very, very deeply refreshing. Because this guy has the same contempt for them.
Oh, really?
As I do.
Oh, good. The anti-car
hates them. Hates cars. And I'm not going to mince words.
No.
I hate cars.
I hate cars.
I hate the incessant sound.
I hate the noise.
I hate that they all look like Bono in the Actung baby period.
Do you remember over the pandemic lockdown?
I hate that they are spitting bile into the atmosphere,
killing
and
animals,
pretty much everybody has
children,
one. Yeah, and pretty much everyone has one of these stupid things. And this time in history will be looked back on as the insane time when everybody drove high-speed, petrol-powered metal boxes around so they could go. Strange things happening outside. I'm going to have a look.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we haven't always had cars, and like cars are so wrapped. In case you hadn't noticed, cars are so wrapped up in people's status images of each other. And the thing of it, like, you know, I've always been sort of flitting under and on the poverty line, and it just seems crazy to me that people spend more on a car than costs for the price of a house.
But then these people will also describe themselves as poor.
And it's sort of like, you know,
how much does a Range Rover cost?
Yeah, exactly.
How much money is a Range Rover?
I've got no idea. And even second-hand cars, like we saw one. I was walking around and there was one for sale for $6,000. $6,000 is a lot of money. That's like a year's rent, half a year's rent. Sorry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Half a year's rent. That's crazy to spend on a car. But like the fact is, like, why? You know, we all need to be able to breathe air, and I don't understand why all of, not everyone, but why all you lot who are into cars, like, think that it's going to be sustainable, keep driving around and not having any air, and there being a big fire, and like, you know, and then we all die. Like, it just doesn't seem, and then just, it seems crazy. Like, I mean, surely nothing is more important than air, isn't it? Yeah. And I don't understand why that's considered a political position. How is that a political position? How am I being political by saying I don't want to burn to death?
None of these things are political positions.
And you're all going on about like, oh, it's all made up, and then like, you know what? There's fire everywhere all the time. There's fire everywhere.
Being against a Holocaust is also not a political position.
It's not a political position. I don't want to see children being murdered. I don't want to see animals having to eat out of like hollowed out corpses on the ground. I don't want to see like entire swathes of the planet being gouged out so nothing can exist there. I don't want to see like, you know, insect populations being destroyed. Like, you know what I mean? Getting to the point where like sort of like the animals that do really well, like, you know, certain beetles and stuff, where even they're all dead. Like, that's a bad situation.
You know what I want to see?
That's a bad situation.
I want to see like England and America placed under sanctions by like Sudan.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
you know,
like
by the people they've messed around.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just feel like we are so. Oh,
I can't get away
a disaster.
from. And also, I will admit that I did not realise the extent to which the basis of this system is destroying other places and taking people's lives. And I find it hard waking up in the morning,
it's destroying space.
Knowing
space is full of rubbish.
I find it hard waking up in the morning, knowing that I'm existing in this system, which is actively, constantly killing people in the global south, and the climate change is going to be much quicker a problem in the global south. We seem to have forgot now that half of Bangladesh was underwater, is still underwater, I don't know.
It's not in the news.
It's not in the news. But that big disaster happened, was it last year or the year before? Half of Bangladesh underwater, and the Bangladeshi people were so resourceful and brilliant that only one person died because they were ready for it, because they're real people who communicate with each other, who talk and don't spend all their time trying to compete with each other and like, looking at their stupid phones or thinking about their stupid cars.
Yeah, or like whatever other vapid you know, hobby you've got, influencers stuff, like, you know, people doing like Spotify, like, you know, hey, I'm on the Spotify playlist, like, Edinburgh Fringe, like, just not. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it, but it's just like, unless you're kind of.
I'm saying don't aspire to the entertainment
I think
industry.
you've got to do something as well as, like, the whole point of the, like, okay, when I was a kid, when I first found out about climate change, and I stopped eating animals as soon as I found out what they were, because I grew up on a farm. Like, not my family aren't farmers. We were like hippies renting one of the sort of barns, I used to, as a little kid, used to go and like make friends with the chickens and the animals and the sheep and stuff. Like, you know, we used to like they used to like the sheep that were born to like mothers who couldn't produce milk, like we would take them in and bottle feed them, and like I've spent my childhood getting to bottle feed little lambs, and they were so cute, and watching little tiny chickens hatching out of eggs and stuff like that. And then the thing that I noticed was they would all disappear occasionally, and everyone
Where's
was,
all the
like,
chickens?
You know, and all these animals would like just go, and everybody kept it hidden from me for ages, for like until I was about 4 or 5, and then I just stopped eating them afterwards, because when I found out that it was all dead animals, I was utterly outraged, because these were all my friends. Like, you know, I don't care what any of you think, animals are sentient, and if you don't think that, then you're utterly confused.
That's just another thing that would be seen as one of the great stupidities.
It's just unbelievable.
Because if animals are not sentient, how do they make decisions?
What would be the likelihood that we'd be on a planetary body in a universe that almost obviously has life teeming everywhere? We just can't, like, you know, we can't detect it completely yet, but most NASA scientists and other people involved in space science stuff are all saying, yeah, it's only a matter of time before we find life on other planets. So, like, what would be the likelihood that humans would be the only sentient species in the entire universe? Obviously, that's a human-centric position, isn't it? Yeah. So, obviously, when I found out, when I was 5, that the world was in trouble, I thought, oh my god, I want to survive. I don't want to see everything on fire. So I thought, okay, what can I do? I could go into politics. I could try and become like the Prime Minister. And then I was kind of thinking, obviously I'm not 5 completely at this point, but I was thinking, okay, that's not going to work, because then you have to go and be one of these guys in the suit shouting in the weird building. And so I was sort of thinking, well, you know, if you become like an actor, you have social influence, so then you can get famous, and then you can, like, have a message and tell people, no, we've got to do something about it. And that's what I wanted to do. And I figured that art and music, the point of it was so that you could spread a message, so that you could try and make the world better.
But it's better now. You can be like Damon Albarn. You can do nothing for years and then play a big gig at Wembley.
The point of, like, the whole point of art and music was to communicate, like, sort of transcendence and, like, a message to the audience, and now everybody's just about the fame bit that comes along afterwards. What was the original point that we were saying about?
I have no idea.
Not doing Edinburgh Fringe, not doing festivals,
ignoring the entertainment industry,
not doing
completely.
Spotify, like doing.
And there is a difference between art and entertainment. There is, you know, that is true. There is a difference between art and entertainment, because the intention when art is made is to explore stuff, to find stuff, to make something like satisfying and new. The intention of entertainment is to placate and pass the time of a group of people
until death.
And I'm very much into the idea, as you may have noticed, I think art should be difficult. I think art should test one's patience. I think art should make you ask questions, and entertainment doesn't make you ask questions, does it? Entertainment is something you watch, like you might watch the clouds roll by if you were imaginative, but you're not. And it is a very, very different thing, and I've spent my whole life, I'm 45 now, I've spent my whole life kind of being chastised by people for being unable to work in the entertainment industry, and
I just can't do it.
The fact is, by this age, I realise that this whole time the entertainment industry has nothing to do with what I do.
No.
Like, in the same way, the entertainment, like, artists of the past, was James Joyce working in the entertainment industry? You know? No. Was Caravaggio, you know, also presenting on TV or whatever, you know? Was he...
Was Bob Fosse, you know, choreographer of, like, cabaret and all that?
Yeah.
He wasn't working in the entertainment industry, he was inventing weird dance things.
Art is an exploration. Art is an exploration of what is possible for humans to make in relation to what is around them and what's gone before and how we speculate about the future. So rather than journalism, which is often propagandized, art is the real first draft of history. And art is real human beings responding to history. And entertainment is something that's created to fill holes in consumerist schedules with products in between, to sell to you, and a healthy dose of ideology in the entertainment too. And by the ideology of the entertainment industry, on the simplest level, the transformation of all culture into a competition to see who's best at it.
Yeah.
When that's not what art's about.
Crazy.
The composer Will Edmonds said to me the last time I saw him, we were talking about the future of music, and he said the next thing that could blow all music out of the water, it could be created by a brilliant musical academic who knows everything about the history of music. It could equally be created by a 13-year-old who has a wild idea one day and no musical training. And I suspect the truth will be the latter.
Case in point, Wesley Willis.
Wesley Willis.
I love Wesley Willis. Like, Wesley Willis was like...
Yeah, and well, let's just reiterate there, young people, if you've got a mullet, cut it off. It's rubbish. It wasn't good first time around in the 80s. It's even worse now. Because you're only doing it because you saw it on television. That's appalling. Don't do things that you see on television.
Yeah, don't get a mullet, get a mohawk instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, mohawks are great.
There's a guy
who walks around playing the
here in
Prodigy,
Shipton Abbey.
And he's got a little sort of short mohawk, and he wears kind of like rave clothes, and it makes me feel really...
And he sits in the bus stop and plays like a mixture of metal, trance, and like Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, he was listening to Slayer.
And maybe Isaac Hayes.
Great.
And it was a nice playlist, and I was having
I felt like I was in the before times for a little bit. It was really like I was having this like weird Proustian thing of like,
well, I was having a little sleep on the afternoon.
When there used to be music events
because I'd only slept for about 3 hours the night before, and so I had a little afternoon nap, and I woke up and I was Lottie's listening to Firestarter.
Oh, it was
which was
great.
surprising. It was a surprising turn of events. Like, I didn't expect you to just be, I'll go to sleep. I think I'll listen to Firestarter. Not that I mean, I don't really like Firestarter, but I love music for the Jilted Generation and the Prodigy experience. But once it starts to get all guitar-y, I like my techno pure.
I was
don't put those guitars with the techno.
No.
And yeah, very sad about Keith. But if the Prodigy hadn't started putting the guitars with the techno, then the world wouldn't have had to have things like David Bowie's drum and bass album, and because goodness gracious.
I haven't heard that.
Is
it the one? Did you do the video with the eyes crossed out or something?
I don't know about the video. I just know that on the front cover of his drum and bass album, it's him wearing a giant Union jacket. In a lovely pastoral landscape.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the music's
the only
like.
person who can get away with that is Jerry Halliwell with the dress.
Yeah.
But that was a tea towel, so it was fine.
Yeah. The music, it goes, and then it's got a drum and bass beat. And then David Bowie starts going. Yeah, that's a wonder, it's a wonder.
Oh yeah,
and then it has a slow bit where he goes so far away like that for ages, in that sort of Albert Steptoe way that he did, and then it goes back to drum and bass and then the whole album, because I got obsessed with it. I even bought it. Thought it was funny, and I must have been 17 or something, and the whole album veers between like this rock drum and bass thing, There's a couple of bits, I think, of Fall to the Floor. Aliens, aliens, oh no! Yeah, something like that. And then, guitars at the same time. And then there's probably a couple of sort of like, digital rock stompers, like the kind of track that's like straight rock guitar. But then has like a straight beat underneath, like Phil Collins, but it's done with electronic drums. Always programmed by someone who does not know how to make electronic drums sound good by using sort of little bit of dynamic in the bar. And it goes on for a whole album of David Bowie drum and bass, and he only did it the once. I wish there'd been like
David Bowie drum bassing it.
Yeah, I wish David Bowie had spent the rest of his days just him and Iman.
David Guetta.
Yeah, him and Iman out with David Guetta,
and
partying the nights away. Yeah, Skrillex, and yeah, why not? If he just spent the rest of his career going.
Skrillex and David Bowie have like angular hair, so yeah.
What is this drum and bass thing, man? Right,
So
drum and bass. It came about, and I was a young man. I remember, and Ronnie Size and Represent hit the charts, and there was like that whole scene of bands like For Hero who kind of made they made this really quite beautiful music, very ornate and rich with live instruments over I think a live drummer doing this drum and bass thing. And then was Red Snapper and all that kind of thing.
I remember that. Was that early 2000, sort of 2000?
Yeah. And it was there, it was a thing, and it goes
or like
and it does and it does that. And then in the late 90s and early 2000s, loads of really interesting musicians. In fact, there was a whole culture that took the basis of drum and bass, made it more distorted, and then invented all kinds of subgenres of
things with syncopation and polyrhythms.
Extreme gabba with syncopation and polyrhythms,
drum and bass has
etc.
got syncopation, but there's only two syncopated patterns that seem to.
And I'm astonished by, like, it's so. Every time I hear a piece of drum and bass that's made now, it's so generic that I just wouldn't know how to make it. It's so generic.
Is it all
it's
plugins
so
and sort of particular. I don't know. Everything sounds like it's made in a particular program.
Well, it just has as a movement, as a culture. It hasn't changed or progressed at all.
No, there's literally two
and
rhythmic
it's very
patterns.
strange, yeah.
There's two rhythmic patterns. I find it very strange. It's like it's like the opposite of minimalism.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, very, very vexing to me.
As in, like, it's really sparse, but nothing happens.
Yeah. But they still do that thing, don't they? I've always been really partial.
I like it when people are emceeing over the top of it. I guess it kind of evolved to accommodate that a lot. And it kind of was nice when I used to go to raves that when there was still public space, and it would sort of start off with like it would kind of like as the night would end up with like gabba or whatever at a certain point, and then like early sort of later it would be all the drum and bass people would turn up. I quite liked that it was structured. A lot of nights that I went to was structured through various genres of electronic music, and there would be like a psytrance section, and then there would be the bit for all the people who liked sort of IDM, and then like some techno, and then there's also loud music.
There's no culture. But the thing is, like, just to reiterate this thing, one of my current mantras is that you can get a culture back very easily just by disregarding the prevalent system. You can get a culture back very, very easily just by making stuff that doesn't have the aspiration to go into the industry.
Yeah.
You can create a culture where you are making work like for your friends and your community to see, and then if people in the next town do that, and then you will go to the next town for their, and they will come and play to your community. That is how we did it through the whole of human history. So let's start. That's what I do. Let's start doing that again.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. I would hate to be famous in that way. I would hate to be on the television.
Yeah.
I would hate to be written about in the Guardian and all of it. I think it's all gross and all deeply hypocritical.
Yeah.
And I do think by this stage, every single British major news publication should also stand before The Hague.
Yeah.
So I don't want anything to do with them, and nor should you. But you know, just the fact that you don't put your art through some massive corporation doesn't make it invalid.
No.
And the validation for your work does not have to come from basically what ultimately amounts to, if one looks at the picture altogether, white guys in suits.
Yeah.
Why do white guys in suits
Run
with
everything.
lots of money dictate our culture? Why do we live in a culture where the media tells us what's going to be popular next year?
Yeah.
You know, it's meaningless.
Why do we live in a
so
culture where
disregard
if
it.
you want to get documentary...
Book out your community centre.
Yeah. Why do we live in a culture where if you want to get like documentary film funding, you have to already know what the story of the documentary is going to be before you do it? It seems really bizarre, doesn't it?
Well, that's how you make a fictional movie.
But that's not a documentary. A documentary is like you go and film stuff that happens because it's real.
Yeah, you find the story of the documentary by filming the subject.
You know, for years I tried to sort of be involved in mainstream society. I've just given up now because it just never works. But for years I was trying to sort of figure out how to chisel out ways of performing live and stuff like that, and just there isn't a scene to accommodate what I want to do.
No. And there'd be many people who feel like that.
Yeah, and as in like, you know, I couldn't play in like songwriting circles because you have to do this like kind of put on, hello everybody, I'm here to play some tunes that I wrote over the past few years. This one's about, like, you know, this thing.
Is it true that you're a woman who can make music?
Like, yeah, this sort of stuff, or like, I don't know, you can't go and play sort of... There used to be a lot more kind of mixed bill nights where stuff was kind of a little bit around the edges, but now it's like everything's very much like, this is a comedy night, this is a sort of burlesque night, it's all very kind of demographics. Like, I remember I played at some like comedy thing years ago, and they were aware that I was a musician, and like I had to like spend a couple of minutes plugging in, and everyone was like super uncomfortable. But it's sort of like, well, you know, what are you expecting me to do? And yeah, that sort of thing. Like, why the kind of, there's no space for, like, I grew up kind of with this like thought that we could do stuff that kind of sits in between lots of different
but I think I
art
realised
forms, but that doesn't exist anymore.
I think I realised what's going on there with the comedy audience. Right, they're sat there in their safe place, in their comfort
It never
zone,
really feels particularly safe in those audiences.
ready to have a good, wholesome laugh, right? And then you come on stage, and what you're holding, a guitar. They look at the guitar, and somewhere deep in their collective unconscious, they see Woody Guthrie. They see "This machine kills fascists." At that point, they think, maybe I'm next. Nobody is safe here. That's true. That's what was going on there. They're very strange, the comedy crowd. I absolutely hate being a comedy geek. I hate the thing of people...
You know, it's August, so there's loads of like festivals and stuff like that.
I hate the thing of like having like men on either side of your head going ha 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 at absolutely everything. It's the most disingenuous of art forms.
It's I mean, I've still got like a lot of admiration for people like being very good at it. There's a lot of people that I met through it who I mean, that's the thing. It used to be a lot more fun. That there was a lot more people who couldn't do anything else. Like, I met lots of people who were sort of like, I just can't find normative employment. And so they used to just go on stage because they had no other option and they might make like a tenner. And that like some really interesting stuff came out of that, of like, we're kind of fueled by sort of desperation, but it's again like everything, like, I don't know, I feel like every summer this whole thing of like, you start with Glastonbury, and then there's this whole summer of like media industry, and then it comes down at Christmas, and it's quite intense. But I don't know. It's just sort of, there's nowhere that I really want to go anymore. Like Glastonbury, obviously is like horrible, and like sort of I can't imagine going up to Edinburgh now to sort of like, I mean, when I used to go up there, I kind of used to just go to sort of pick up weird open mic things, sleep on someone's floor and sort of have some fun and like get some practice in and stuff like that, but I think it's probably not like that anymore.
No. Yeah.
Anyway, people should sort of like try and make it so that everything's cheap again by starting a new thing outside of where everybody goes. Maybe.
Yeah. I love this current thing that goes on all around the country, of these towns that have fringe festivals where there's no festival.
There's no festival.
For it to be a fringe of.
And they charge individually for all the events.
Yeah.
As opposed to like in Edinburgh, you can do sort of pay what you want.
Which makes sense
bucket,
at a
which
festival.
is great. And sometimes you can make a lot of money out of it as well, which is.
Yeah.
If it's not got a main festival, then what is it fringe to?
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe we should put on a fringe festival here in Shipton Abbot. Don't you think we should put on a fringe festival? We could get all of the local Morris troops, and we could get like all of the like national Morris troops, all of them, and we could get them all together to do one big Morris dance. But is that the military film?
Oh, great! Is it the military, or is it?
It could well be the military, or it might be the Dartmoor copter.
I don't really like sort of seeing like Chinooks or whatever they're called. Like, what are they called? The big helicopters that look like it looks like a telephone that's going to kill you.
Yeah. I never noticed they look like telephones.
I don't really like that sort of flying about sort of half a mile away from my window. It makes me slightly paranoid. Anyway,
I think it's because we were talking about putting Morris dancers all in one place.
Yeah.
So, at our fringe festival, at Shipton Abbot Fringe Festival, you will come to see every single Morris troupe in the country, and they'll all be together in one room talking about Morris and all that, like they do, and jangling their bells and wiggling their ribbons at each other. And then, once they're all there for the festival, you just lock the door and let the rest of the festival happen while the Morris dancers are inside. And when they're locked inside, a series of people can come up to the balcony and give them all a good, stern talking to about how this has no real historical antecedents, and
Apart from the Terry Pratchett.
the whole Dark Morris idea comes from Terry Pratchett. And that post-Brexit, I'm sorry, locals.
Yeah, really.
Post-Brexit, the Morris dancing is not a good look.
You gotta think about
Dabka is better.
Really.
Think
Dabka,
about it in the wider
Morris.
context.
Really
Dabka, not Morris. You might like your little top hat and your little bells.
Really, it's a little bit dodgy.
But so does Nigel.
Yeah, I would maybe give it a rest and like, hey, you've already got the sticks and you've got the sort of like training your knees up. Why didn't you get into some polyrhythms and start trying to do?
Well, yeah.
Other dance forms.
A group of like buff guys and like tough women who are wearing like war paint and are all carrying sticks. that starts to sound like a revolutionary force to be reckoned with, doesn't it? The revolution will be committed by the Morris men
well, it sort of
the world.
Which side?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's the word.
I've
The Morris people will do the revolution clearly
massively,
because there'll be this like
I'm
big
not
conglomerate
entirely
army.
sure
But we don't know quite where they
I'm
stand.
not really sure what it's saying in the post-Brexit sort of like apocalyptic, you know, sort of steroid nationalistic end times.
Yeah. If like ballet is like if ballet is like falling snow and dabka is like rolling thunder,
Love the big drum.
for England, for a country which wants to be like taken seriously in the international community, if ballet is snow and dabka is thunder, Morris is throwing gourds to the floor. You know, just thud. It has no class, it has no style, it has no history. It's made up. Please stop doing it. Okay? I know this isn't a very popular attitude around here, but it's just it hurts me. Okay?
It hurts me.
And here in Shipton, there's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it. There was a lot of it the other day.
There was, yeah.
How much longer have we got left?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Well, at the end of this, I think you should play a song.
Oh yeah, I could play my
Yeah,
at the end of the show,
is this going to end up being our last show?
Yeah,
because
maybe.
It's quite a contentious position. You know, all the other stuff
It's
about
a
like
contentious
genocide
position.
and that. I'm not going to get sort of into trouble about that. But
the
Morris dancing.
Yeah, if you slate Morris in Devon,
the anti-consumerist, anti-fascist stuff. Is like, you know. I mean, it's not generally very popular right now, is it? But I think our position on Morris dancing is maybe the least popular.
The least popular. But everyone else in the world would agree with us.
I have to just point out at this point, because people might not understand it, that every time that I laugh in between saying things about horrible, kind of catastrophic disasters on this planet, it's because I am in quite a vast amount of pain inside from having to observe it. So
yeah,
just in case you need
having to observe it. Like I'm fine.
Having to observe it and lie about it and pretend that everything's fine.
I'm really struggling.
And this is why we're not coming up to the radio at the moment, which is because I can't handle leaving the house. Like I'm literally diagnosed agoraphobic, and I think I just can't do it anymore. I can't. Hi, how are you?
No.
Anymore. I can't.
No.
I just can't.
And the way that
like, do we not think
the way that some people have been to me about like just having some basic ethics has been shocking to me, and I am processing the last year, particularly at the moment. I'm realizing just how horrific people close to me actually are. And that is shocking, but it's also, it's not anomalous. It's the majority of the population who think in this very self-centered, look after yourself way. Yeah. The J.D. Vance way of love thy neighbour only if they're next door.
Yeah, and you know, we it feels very sort of like, you know, end timesy if like the Pope is, like the last Pope, sort of like hanging on till the last minute to say, look, what is wrong with everyone? Like, why is it the whole world seemingly is so into just random murder and violence?
Everybody loves slaughter.
And I feel like
but not everybody. There's a minority of people who don't, but I'm convinced by this point that the majority of people love a bit of slaughter. I don't know if it's,
I think...
Or just don't mind it, or indifferent to it.
It's also the sort of like the
I dislike it profusely.
What's it, not dissociation, the kind of like well, yeah, I suppose it is the sort of dissociation from life, from like nobody takes it seriously enough to have kind of respect for it. Like, I'm not talking about everyone, but the majority of people that you bump into do not have respect for life on this planet. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing.
Yeah. On a slightly more upbeat note, because we all need a little more upbeat. Let's have the show's erotic moment. Let's tell the audience what Lottie is wearing today. Today, Lottie is wearing a beautiful corduroy red skirt, long skirt with a teasing slit in the side, through which is revealed the wonderful face of David Boreanaz. Over their torso, Lottie is wearing a semi-transparent, pink, long-sleeved, slightly tie-dye-esque, tightly cut top, which exposes a small amount of midriff, and through which one can see the eBayed Calvin Klein brassiere. And a plethora of beautiful tattoos. Are you getting hot? I am.
You should talk about that one.
Yeah, well, the David Boreanaz tattoo is unfinished. It was put there. It was placed there by my brilliant daughter, Autumn, and is a replica of the worst piece of fan art of the great actor and entertainer David Boreanaz.
Sort of inherent charm to it.
Well, the interesting thing about it was that once it was put onto your leg in this way, it looks like a piece of folk art. It looks like very interesting.
He looks like a Catholic icon.
He does look like a Catholic icon, but he always looks like a Catholic icon.
He too is overpowered by the cross.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, he is. The sufferings of the damned. Oh, well. So, this has been me, Dr. Ergo Phizmiz, on Sound Art Radio with
Depresstival. Everything I say comes out of concern for the continued existence of the population of every species on the planet.
It does. We're only like this because we're concerned.
But also, just quickly, I will say, like, why is it that when you sort of oppose kind of the massive, painful death of every single living thing on the planet due to kind of destabilising the entire climate and killing everything, why does objecting to that mean that you're a bad person? Doesn't that mean that I think that your life is worth saving?
Yeah, so, we just want to save your life.
Do what you can.
Yeah. We're going to leave you with the aforementioned song, which was recorded whilst a Morris troupe was performing a ballad outside, a Morris ballad. And I'd just like to say before we go to my parents, the books that you have been sending me, I read them a long time ago. You should probably read them yourselves. Okay, have a good until next week, where we'll be back to make ourselves even more unpopular. Bye. Band.
Oh, the car alarm is going on.
Yes. Gonna take up Morris dancing in Devon. I'm gonna move to a place where I can be free. Gonna meet a girl in my Morris dancing troupe. We'll Morris dance together, just you and me. Morris in Devon, it's the place I like to go to feel liberated. Morris dancing with my girl,
That's the way I like to spend my evenings here in this small town. Morris dancing with my girl. I moved to Devon. I wasn't expecting so much, but then I saw a group of guys jumping up and down. They had some little sticks and they bashed them together. They shouted and they screamed. It felt like the universe imploding when they bashed those sticks together. And in any weather they go out in fancy clothes. And I thought, I want some of those fancy clothes myself. I want some bells and buckles on my clothes. I'm a Morris man now. I'm a Morris man now. And that's... Thanks guys, thanks. And that's why I moved to Devon.